Hi there, I'm Rob, and this is the Balkan School of Languages channel. We're a language school based in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and this channel is dedicated to helping you improve your language skills. So for today, we're going to be tackling the topic of presentations. A lot of people, when they give presentations, they just read the slides. Now, I'm sure you've sat through a presentation like this before, and it's really boring. It's not interesting. It's difficult to stay interested and listen to what the person's saying. So today, our objective is to try and give you some key phrases that you can use to make your presentations flow a little bit better and also keep people interested in what you're saying. So let's go. Okay, first things first, when you're speaking about presentations, let's just clarify the verbs that we use with presentations. So you can say to make a presentation means to prepare the slides, to prepare the information that you're then going to present. It's not the process of presenting. So when you're presenting a presentation, you can say to present, or you can say to do a presentation. It's the difference between making a presentation and doing a presentation. If you're still unsure on the difference between make and do, you can check out this video up here that I made on that topic. You can also say to give a presentation, and this is the same as doing or presenting a presentation. So just a point to be careful about there with the vocabulary. Now, as I said, we'll break this down into different sections of a presentation and give you a few examples of phrases you can say to link your presentation together and to keep people's interest. So first things first, let's start with the opening. So some different options for the opening of your presentation could be: the aim of this presentation is to. So the aim of this presentation is to discuss the supply chain issues we've been having. So the aim is the word I used here. You do have different synonyms you can use for the word aim. You could also say objective, you could say purpose, or you could say goal. These are all different options you can use to replace the word aim, and you have the same meaning and a little bit of variety if you want to mix it up. Another option: this morning or this afternoon, I'm going to talk about. So this morning, I'm going to talk about the supply chain issues we've been having. Another option, to give some clarity and let people know what to expect, you could say, my talk is divided into three parts. Firstly, secondly, thirdly. So to give you a more concrete example, my talk is divided into three parts. Firstly, I'll present you the problem. Secondly, we'll discuss the potential solutions. And thirdly, we can have a question and answer session to discuss things in more detail. One more slightly more advanced option is to say, this talk or presentation sets out to. So this is a nice phrasal verb. In fact, this is a synonym for the first example when we say the aim of this talk is to. You could say this talk sets out to resolve our supply chain problems. So these are all different options for the opening to prepare your audience for the topic you're going to discuss. Next, the main body of your presentation. So when you're talking about the important information, the reason that you're giving the presentation. Now, it's very useful to use signposts. Signposts are indications, and this helps your audience understand your thought process and follow your ideas, and also keep them interested. Some examples could be, let's move on to discussing, and this means to advance. So when you move from one topic to the next, so you finish one topic, you can say, okay, let's move on to discussing the budget. Another short phrase just to help you link from one slide to the next is, let's take a look at the first slide. So often people just move from one slide to the next, and this is just a phrase you can use as you move from one slide to the next. Or this leads me to my next point. So you can clarify something and say, this leads me to my next point. And here you're connecting your ideas. And using these linking words will keep your audience engaged. Also, focus. If you have a lot of information on a slide and you want to highlight one specific point, you could use a phrase such as, I'd like to point out that. So to point out, it's similar to highlight. You could say highlight to, but point out is a nice phrasal verb if you want to draw people's attention to some specific information. Or I think there are two main points to focus on here. So again, you have your slide with lots of information. I think there are two main points to focus on here, this data and this data. Another technique which I find personally very useful is to ask a question and then answer the question yourself. The objective here is to really attract the attention of your audience and to get them actively thinking instead of just passively listening. For example, how much is this going to cost? Well, the figures show that. So you get them to think themselves, but then you provide the answer directly. Or, what does this mean? Well, it means that. Similar idea. Or, so how do we deal with this situation? Well, firstly, so this is a really nice way of being interactive, and yes, I really encourage you to try and use this in your presentations. They will certainly improve them if you're not doing it already. Then the closing. So in order to indicate to your audience that you're coming to the end of your presentation, there are some phrases that you can use. For example, right, that brings me to the end of my presentation. So instead of just saying the end or thank you, you have some phrases which just prepare people for the end and make it very clear that the presentation is finishing, and it's all about indicating to people where you are and keeping their attention, as I mentioned before. Another option is just to cover the main points again, and then maybe you can summarize the key points from your presentation. Another option, I'd like to finish by saying, and then you can get your key message. If you have a specific point you want them to remember, you can add that at the end of this phrase. Thank you for your attention and your time. It's always nice to thank people at the end of your presentation. It's polite. So yeah, this is a nice way to do it. And you can also always say, now, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. So this is a nice way to invite questions. And in saying, I'll do my best, it's a nice way to say that you'll try, but maybe if you don't have all the information right now, you can go and find the information and come back to them later. But a nice way to invite questions. So that's it for today. I hope you found it useful. Good luck putting this into practice. As always, if you found the content of this video useful, please like, subscribe, share with family and friends. Check out our other videos. We have lots of videos on different topics. Thanks once again for taking the time to watch the video. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.